Before diving into this incredible story, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell. Every story here has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. Marcus Johnson was a household name in the business world. At 42, this imposing black man with natural charisma led JTech Solutions, a thriving technology company. Under his leadership, the company had doubled its revenue in 5 years and become a symbol of success and innovation. But despite all this success, Marcus felt isolated. His manager's reports were impeccable, the meetings reassuring, but he knew he was missing something. He'd heard whispers, overworked employees, brilliant ideas ignored, hidden talents just waiting to be recognized. Every night, as he left his luxurious office, he thought about those faces he didn't really know, those stories he might never know. One evening, in the silence of his penthouse overlooking the city, Marcus made a bold decision. He was going to descend into his company, incognito, in the guise of a simple maintenance agent. He wanted to see the truth, to discover the reality behind the forced smiles and impressive numbers. The next morning, no one suspected that the man in a dark suit pushing a cleaning cart through the halls of JTech was none other than their CEO. Marcus was ready to observe, listen, and understand. What he was about to discover about his employees would change not only his vision of the company, but also his way of leading, and what he found left him speechless. Marcus slowly pushed the cleaning cart through the spotless hallways of JTech Solutions. The floor gleamed under the fluorescent lights, and the murmur of conversation mingled with the clatter of keyboards. No one really noticed him. To them, he was just another janitor. He watched the employees in action. Some seemed absorbed in their screens, others chatted quietly, visibly frustrated or tired. Marcus took note of every detail, an anxious look here, a suppressed sigh there. Everything was real, everything was human. In the main corridor, he crossed paths with David Parker, a quiet technician, who was helping a colleague solve a complicated software problem. Marcus noticed David's patience and precision, and the lack of recognition from his superior. Then he saw Lisa Thompson, a young project manager, who was working on a crucial prototype for the company. She was juggling multiple tasks, answering colleagues' questions while meeting tight deadlines. Marcus was struck by her determination and calm under pressure. Despite her remarkable efforts, no one seemed particularly interested in her work. In every room he walked through, Marcus overheard conversations that revealed hidden frustrations, unshared innovative ideas, and overlooked talents. He realized that the company, however successful, had its dark spots. Brilliant employees went unnoticed, while some managers imposed too much control, stifling creativity. That first day was a shock. Marcus understood that, behind JTech's apparent efficiency, hid a world he had never seen. Every smile, every sigh, every gesture had its own story. And for the first time, he felt truly connected to its employees. As he pushed his cart through the halls, Marcus silently said to himself, "If I want this company to become more than just a financial success, I have to understand these people, and what they go through on a daily basis." On the second day of his incognito, Marcus slipped deeper into the recesses of JTech Solutions. He observed everything, the offices, the meeting rooms, even the cafeteria. The employees, believing him to be just a simple maintenance worker, allowed themselves to talk frankly among themselves. Near the cafeteria, he heard Emily Rodriguez, a young developer, confided to her colleague. "Nobody wants to listen to my ideas. I know it could improve our software, but every time I suggest something, I'm told it's not a priority." Marcus was struck. Brilliant talents, ignored. He mentally noted Emily's name. A little further along, in the main corridor, 2 employees were discussing management issues. "You can never talk frankly with the project manager, he gets offended all the time," said one. "Yes, and our superiors never see the real effort we make," replied the other. Each conversation revealed a reality that official reports never showed: frustration, discouragement, but also dedication. Some employees worked silently to help their colleagues, others had incredible ideas but didn't dare share them. Marcus began to make a mental list: David Parker, Lisa Thompson, Emily Rodriguez, each of them represented an untapped talent, an overlooked story. He realized that the company was full of exceptional human resources, but the current system wasn't allowing them to shine. While observing a group of technicians solving a complex problem together, Marcus understood that the real driving force behind J-Tech was not numbers or strategy, but these employees, passionate and determined, who gave everything without expecting recognition. At the end of the day, as he was folding up his cart, Marcus said to himself, "If I want this company to become truly great, I have to find a way to unlock that invisible potential. These people are the real wealth." On the third day, Marcus felt he was beginning to understand the true heart of his company. Pushing his cart through the halls, he stopped in front of a room where a small group of employees were busy working on a critical project. Among them, David Parker, the quiet technician, was patiently explaining a complex procedure to a struggling colleague. Marcus noticed that David wasn't looking for recognition or praise, he simply wanted to get the job done. In another office, Lisa Thompson juggled the demands of her project while helping a new employee understand the software. Marcus observed her calm and ability to handle pressure. She smiled even when an unexpected problem arose, offering creative solutions without ever complaining. Then he crossed James Carter, an employee often considered quiet and ordinary. But on this day, James was helping a struggling colleague resolve a major bug, quietly working through the night to keep the project on schedule. No one really saw him, no one thanked him. Marcus began to realize something fundamental: the real heroes of J-Tech were not the executives featured in the annual reports, but those invisible employees, who ran the company with skill and passion, often in the shadows. He mentally noted each name, each face, and an idea took shape in his mind: these talents deserved not only to be recognized, but also to be encouraged to excel even more. As he folded up his cart that evening, Marcus found himself smiling. "These people are incredible, and I'm going to make sure their value never remains invisible again." But he still didn't know how much this immersion would reveal real surprises, some shocking and others revealing deep flaws in the management of his company. As the days passed, Marcus delved deeper into the real-life lives of his employees. On that fourth day, what he discovered shocked him deeply. As he walked past a meeting room, he heard Karen Mitchell, a manager, criticizing an employee in front of his entire team for a minor mistake. Karen's voice was harsh, the criticism disproportionate. Marcus felt a pang in his heart. This young, yet talented employee seemed devastated by this public humiliation. A little further on, he saw another manager, Robert Hayes, completely ignoring the ideas of a group of engineers during a presentation. The suggestions were relevant, innovative, but Robert brushed them off with a simple gesture, preferring to stick to his rigid plans. Marcus mentally noted the frustration on the employees' faces: irritation, discouragement, but above all resignation. He quickly realized that these behaviors weren't isolated. Some managers practiced favoritism, valuing appearances and connections over real merit. Talents like David, Lisa, Emily, and James were often invisible to the hierarchy, despite their dedication and exceptional skills. In a particularly telling moment, Marcus overheard a conversation between two employees. "I don't even know why I keep coming up with ideas, it's pointless," trust one. "Me too, but we do our job because we love what we do, not for them," replied the other. These words struck Marcus hard. The company's culture, financially successful as it was, stifled creativity and human potential. He realized that the real problem wasn't the talent of the employees, but the way the company was run. That evening, as he pushed his cleaning cart, Marcus said to himself, "I have to change that. If I don't protect this talent, I risk losing what makes J-Tech truly unique." But what he didn't know yet was that some of the revelations would go far beyond simple management issues. He would uncover touching personal stories, silent sacrifices, and acts of courage that no one in the executive suite had ever noticed. On the fifth day of his immersion, Marcus began to see the true extent of the talent hidden within his company. As he walked past the R&D department, he saw Emily Rodriguez. She sat in front of her screen, focused on a complex solution to a critical bug in the company's flagship software. Her fingers danced across the keyboard, testing hypotheses, tweaking lines of code with remarkable precision. Marcus, in his maintenance worker uniform, quietly moved closer and observed. Emily had just come up with a solution that no one on the management team would have considered. Yet she wasn't looking for attention. Her only goal was to move the project forward. A little further on, David Parker found an ingenious way to simplify a long and tedious maintenance process. His colleagues were impressed, but he didn't brag. Marcus made a mental note of how these employees overcame obstacles with creativity and calm, despite the lack of recognition. Then came Lisa Thompson, who resolved a conflict between two teams by proposing an innovative approach that not only satisfied everyone but also improved productivity. Marcus couldn't help but admire them. These employees weren't just competent, they were brilliant, resourceful, and often invisible to superiors. Marcus realized that these moments of genius did not come from executives or managers, but from those working behind the scenes, motivated by passion and a sense of duty rather than recognition or prestige. He understood that the future of JTech depended on their development and that, as long as the company did not value these talents, it risked missing out on its real potential. As he finished his day, Marcus pushed his cart and thought, "If I want JTech to become more than a profit machine, I must create an environment where these invisible geniuses can shine and be heard." That day, he understood that his role as CEO went far beyond strategy and numbers. He had to become the protector and mentor of these hidden talents. And he knew that the real revelations were only just beginning. On the sixth day, Marcus began to notice the small gestures of solidarity and humanity that no one really saw in his company. In the main hallway, he surprised David Parker bringing coffee to a colleague who had pulled an all-nighter on an urgent project. David said nothing, didn't seek any recognition, he simply wanted to make his colleague's day easier. Later, in the cafeteria, Marcus listened Lisa Thompson encouraging a shy intern. She reassured him, patiently corrected his mistakes, and gave him practical advice. The young man smiled shyly, visibly grateful. Marcus felt a warmth rise within him. He saw that these simple gestures were essential to creating a humane and supportive work environment. Then he heard Emily Rodriguez telling a colleague how she was managing her personal life alongside work, worrying about her sick mother. Marcus realized that these employees, while incredibly competent, had immense personal challenges that they faced in silence. Their resilience and dedication were remarkable. Pushing his cart, Marcus began to chat with the employees he passed. Some, thinking they were talking to a simple maintenance worker, shared their frustrations, dreams, and even ideas for improving the company. Marcus listened attentively, mentally taking note of each story. That day he understood that the true wealth of his company was not only in the projects or the profits, but in the human relations, the trust, respect, and silent solidarity that existed among employees. These bonds were the foundation on which he could build a strong and lasting corporate culture. As he finished his day, Marcus thought, "These people deserve to be seen and heard. Their humanity is the driving force of this company, and I must make sure it is valued." He now knew that his role as CEO was no longer just to lead, but to protect and cultivate this precious human bond, invisible to many, but vital to the soul of JTech. On the seventh day, Marcus decided to focus on the employees' more private and intimate conversations. As he walked past the break room, he overheard Emily Rodriguez and David Parker speaking softly in a low voice. "You know, I keep going anyway because I love what I do, but sometimes I wonder if it's worth it," trusts Emily. "I understand. I too have sacrificed a lot to be here. My children come after work, but I know it's worth it," replied David. Marcus felt a lump in his throat. He realized that behind the professional facade, everyone had their own struggles, silent sacrifices, and personal motivations. These stories were never visible in reports or meetings. Later he surprised Lisa Thompson talking to a younger colleague. "I've been taking care of my brother alone since our parents passed away. Sometimes it's hard to juggle everything. But here, I feel useful, I can make a difference," she said, her voice shaky but determined. These confidences made Marcus realize that true employee engagement went far beyond just work. Their motivation came from their courage, their resilience, and their passion for what they were doing. Marcus began mentally recording every story, every sacrifice. He knew that as CEO, he had the power to change working conditions, recognize those efforts, and create an environment where talents and personal lives could coexist harmoniously. As he left the company that evening, Marcus thought, "I thought I was running a business. But I realized that I must first protect and nurture these human lives. Their well-being is the key to our success." For the first time, Marcus understood that running a business was not just about strategy or profit, but a moral responsibility towards the men and women who brought it to life every day. After several weeks incognito, Marcus knew he had to return to his true identity as CEO. As he changed out of his janitorial uniform and donned his smart suit again, he felt a mixture of excitement and gravity. The corridors he had once walked with the naked eye now seemed familiar, almost like territory he knew intimately. As he entered his office, he took a deep breath. Financial reports and strategy meetings awaited him, but what he had discovered would transform the way he led. Every employee, every gesture, every silent sacrifice was now clear to him. Invisible talents, unsung heroes, and personal sacrifices were no longer anonymous numbers in Excel spreadsheets, they were real and precious. Marcus immediately summoned his management team. He spoke to them firmly and emotionally. "I spent weeks among our employees, observing their daily work, their challenges, and their dedication. What I saw was eye-opening. We have incredible talent, but much is overlooked. If we want JTech to continue to thrive, we must change the way we manage, value, and support our teams." He shared specific anecdotes about Emily, David, Lisa, and James, highlighting their exceptional contributions and quiet dedication. Some members of management were surprised, others were moved. Marcus knew that change had to start at the top and ripple throughout the company. Then he made a major decision: implement a program to recognize invisible talent, encourage open communication, and create an environment where every employee felt heard and valued. Marcus knew that the success of the company now depended on human growth and development, as much as financial results. This return to reality didn't just mean resuming his role as CEO, it meant reinventing JTech's culture, transforming prosperity into something more human, more sustainable, and deeply inspiring. As he looked out his office window, overlooking the illuminated city, Marcus thought to himself, "I'm not just the CEO anymore. I'm the guardian of these lives and this exceptional potential." The next day, Marcus put his plans into action. He began by creating a unique internal reconnaissance program, called Invisible Talents, intended to highlight those who moved the company forward without ever receiving credit. Every employee could now nominate a colleague whose work deserved to be celebrated. He also reorganized the hierarchy of certain departments to encourage listening and collaboration. Managers were invited to participate in training sessions on human leadership, focusing on respect, communication, and encouraging innovative ideas. In the following weeks, Marcus observed the first changes. David Parker received recognition public for his creativity and his constant help to his colleagues. For the first time, he felt valued and encouraged to share his ideas even more. Lisa Thompson, previously ignored in the strategic meetings, was invited to present her project directly to the executive committee. His initiative helped to optimize a key product, impressing all the executives. Emily Rodriguez, affected by the implementation establishment of a mentoring and flexibility program for employees with family responsibilities, able to balance their work and personal life while remaining productive and motivated. Marcus also saw the effects on the company's culture. Employees seemed more confident and engaged, and a true team spirit was forming. Ideas flowed freely, innovative projects multiplied, and overall morale improved day by day. One morning, as he walked the halls, this time as CEO, several employees stopped him to thank him personally. Marcus felt a deep emotion. He had succeeded in transforming his company into a place where talent and humanity were finally recognized. What started as a simple experiment to understand its employees had turned into a silent revolution, forever changing the way JTech operated and thrived. Marcus understood that this transformation was not only beneficial to the company, but had touched the lives of every employee in a profound and lasting way. As he stood in his office, watching the activity in the hallways, he thought, "The true wealth of JTech is not in its numbers or its technologies, it is here, in these human lives that we have learned to see and value." A few months after his incognito immersion, Marcus Johnson could finally see the fruits of his efforts. The atmosphere at JTech Solutions had changed radically. The once silent and tense corridors were now filled with lively conversations, exchanges of ideas and shared laughter. Employees felt listened to, valued and respected. The program, Invisible Talents, had highlighted hundreds of contributions that would otherwise have gone unnoticed. Managers had learned to recognize their team's efforts, encourage creativity, and support employees' personal well-being. Marcus had transformed his company's culture, making it more human and stronger. One day, during a general meeting, he spoke in front of all his employees. "I discovered something fundamental while spending time among you incognito. The real engine of JTech isn't profits or technology, it's you. Your efforts, your ideas, your silent sacrifices keep this company alive. And I promise that your value will never be ignored." The applause was long and sincere. Marcus knew that this moment symbolized the birth of a new era for JTech, an era where every employee, whether visible or discreet, had a voice and recognition. A few years later, JTech was thriving even more, but true success was now measured differently, by the trust, collaboration, and respect that reigned within the company. Employees, inspired by Marcus's human leadership, were themselves becoming mentors, innovators, and leaders, perpetuating the spirit of gratitude and humanity. Marcus, thinking back to his days as a janitor, smiled. He knew what he had learned would stick to the invisible but indelible legacy of its management, a company guided by the value of human lives as much as by strategy and success. And so, the CEO who had dared to hide to better see the real world of his employees had left behind a culture of excellence and humanity, a model that many would continue to follow long after him.